Welcome to the Parkinsons Solution Summit. I'm your host, Dr. Ken Sharlin. This has been a terrific year for the Parkinsons Solution Summit, and I'm welcoming back Nancy Bogart. She is the pioneer, thought leader, chief executive officer of Jordan Essentials. And I'll tell you what, folks, have you ever listened to an NPR podcast called How I Built This? Well, you're going to get a How I Built This today in the Parkinson's Solutions Summit. So in addition to getting an incredibly interesting story, you're going to learn about why it is that everything we do around our home, whether it's the environment, whether it's how we clean our homes, whether it's the air that we breathe in our homes, whether it's the things that we put on our bodies, all of these things are critical to Parkinson's, and all of these things are under our control. So without further delay, Nancy Bogart, welcome to the Parkinson's Solution Summit.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's a wonderful perspective to invite us to share today.
Well, Nancy, let's dive into things and talk a little bit about the start of this company that has just grown and grown and grown, and now is a worldwide company based in the Springfield, Missouri area. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of, people always ask me all the time, does it feel real? I'm like, no, it doesn't. I just love what I do every single day. And I think I'm a great listener and I'm a great learner. So yeah, we've actually expanded into some other countries through some partnerships right now, because our products are so needed in today's economy. And for people who really want to have better health, people are becoming so much more educated now. And so I just love that role and opportunity that we've had with our company for 24 years.
How did it get started? Tell us a little bit about that.
So I had three little boys. I still have three boys. They're just not so little anymore. And I was a stay-at-home mom. And that was really important to us. And then it was important that we made money. So I was looking at a way to start to add an income to our home and still have my time flexible. And my background was in food science, catering, recipe creation, gone to college and had worked with various different events. And so it was in the fall of 1999, I thought, oh, if I make something that's unique, people will want to buy it and I could make it at home and send it to them. Well, that didn't last very long. So I invented our solid bar of lotions, non-toxic solid bar of emollient oils, and you can use it 50 different ways. Took off, and we were one of the 5 fastest growing companies in the state of Missouri in 2005. And the Missouri Chamber recognized us that year. So it was a quick fly up. Back then, people didn't have the internet. They weren't really watching what they were using, and we weren't as concerned either. But boy, the more I made, and the more I formulated, the more I learned. And so it was a little bit of a process, and it became a passion of mine. Then my kids, and we adopted our daughter from Russia, then my 4 children, and my husband and I would have products that we were proud of, that were non-toxic, that were super beneficial, purposeful solutions, and not just bubbles and, bath and body products, which is a little bit where I started, but I loved how we were able to do it. We took dyes out. We learned about parabens, phthalates, and all the things you want to avoid to have healthy, balanced endocrine systems and longevity. We talk about longevity a lot in our home, not just with my husband and myself, but with our 20-somethings children, so that they can have that head start. And this is part of that longevity journey.
Nancy, one of the things we try to boil things down to real sort of simple things to remember, simple things to say, simple rules of thumb. And when we talk about food, cliches like shop the edges of the supermarket, or, when you're reading those labels, I say, how many ingredients does it actually have to have? If you don't recognize those ingredients as actual food, if they have chemical names, if you need a degree to know what they are, it's probably not real food. And I think the same thing sort of applies to the products that you've created under the Jordan Essentials line. That the message that this did start in your home means that you had ingredients that are readily available, that are easy, and they're safe and they're simple. So maybe we can kind of start to look at that as a way to kind of build into the product line that you actually have. what are we surrounded by that are just real simple things?
And that's probably one of my favorite things is taking these great whole ingredients and creating a formula that's easy to use, affordable, and packs in a botanical in one application instead of going through, multiple steps or, I'm a busy mom. So I started with shea butters, coconut oil, jojoba oil, non-GMO, well-sourced oils in our products because our skin has to have moisture. It's also a
Mm,
great carrier for aromatherapy, for different modalities. Dead sea salt. We've been bringing in ethically harvested dead sea salt from the Dead Sea for
mm,
about 20 of our 24 years in a blend that makes such a great muscle soak. So then I
mm.
moved on into essential oils. And that's where I think the magic really happened for me when we added magnesium as a mineral. And then we shortly afterward began working with essential oils. So I'm a NAHA certified aromatherapist. And the more I've learned about what we have readily available now, is it easy for us as manufacturers to make it? Absolutely not. I think that's why you don't see it so many other places. But it has to be a passion project for people to have a beneficial whole food ingredient. And we do put it into a non-tox low level of preservative so it doesn't grow mold and you have to put in your refrigerator. But for the most part, you'll read the jojoba, the melaleuca, the frankincense. You're going to read about the Dead Sea salts. And, Epsom salt is man-made and Dead Sea salt comes from the Dead Sea. So then you decide, what would you like to have? And it has the 28 minerals not found anyplace else except in the cells in our bodies. So
Wow.
depleted, it's incredibly interesting. We were on a cruise for a week and I brought, of course, my magnesium products with me, but I hadn't had my weekly soak and I can really tell a difference. So
Hmm.
there's just, those personal practices that give you health, wellness, and vitality from these great ingredients that come from these whole places. But I've learned a lot since we talked last year about essential oils by getting my certification and up-leveling educational ongoing credit courses because I just think there's so much potential there in something that's grown, harvested, produced in an ethical way with the CMPG study, and that you can get this pure product pesticide free right to your home. I think it's incredible. You can tell I love it.
Oh, that is wonderful. So another dimension to all of this that I think is so important, and this may not be quite as intuitive with Parkinson's, so I want to use an analogy. We have the problem of Alzheimer's all around the world. In the United States now, I think the Alzheimer's Association is currently estimating around 7 million people with the disease, many more that are sort of incubating the disease because it does have such a long preclinical phase before people even realize that they're sick, as long as 10 to 20 years. And some people know that there's a gene called ApoE4. It's carried in about a third of the population, at least, and in Caucasians, as an example, because there's some racial and ethnic differences in terms of the impact of this gene. But it does, with one copy of the gene, only triple the risk of developing late onset Alzheimer's. With two copies, around 12 to 15 times the risk. Now, interestingly, not to go too far off in a tangent, that gene is heavily influenced, not surprisingly, by the environment. It makes people more susceptible to inflammation signals around them and within their bodies, like hormone disruptions and things like that. So I have folks not only with Alzheimer's or not only with Parkinson's, but I have family members. I have adult children who come in and say, my parents had this or that. I don't want to get it. What can I do to keep my brain and body healthy? And then as a mom, the context in which Jordan Essentials was born was you had young children at the time, right? So when we think about Parkinson's as so heavily influenced by the environment, we have to think about not only how has it impacted ourselves, but we share this environment with our family, with our children. And so thinking about that home environment is so critical, both from a disease perspective as well as a prevention perspective. So,
Absolutely. And I agree that holistic picture of your life. And I think the number one thing that we have people talking to us about is inflammation and or my family story. So like our director of operations, he goes to his mother-in-law's house and puts magnesium lotion on her legs every night to give her relief. Or, our vice president of sales, she has a family member or somebody, that's on our pick and pack team. When you see people that you love and then you begin to be a lover of persons in your community, you begin to want to be a solution for those impacts. But inflammation is definitely one of the things that we can do something about, not just from stress and food we eat, but the average woman will consume 14 tubes of lipstick in her lifetime, and if that's lead based, or, they can use up to 300 chemicals on their body every day, from the hairspray to the deodorant, to the makeup, to the moisturizer, to your toothpaste, everything throughout your body that you're layering on in this body burden. We talked a little bit about that last year, about the toxic body burden, and you're doing it over and over again with phthalates, which are a known hormone disruptor. Or you're, layering this into your body, and you're working so hard on what you eat, but you don't care what puts on your skin. It's the largest organ in our body. It's like ignoring the elephant in the room. Not elephant skin, but
And
So,
when you create a product that you make available to the public, your company, indirectly you, are under the watchful eye of federal, probably and state regulators, but certainly federal regulators. There's something called generally recognized as safe, I believe. Can you tell me a little bit about that process? Because I think it can be very confusing, that folks don't necessarily understand where that comes from. What kind of scrutiny do companies like yours have? And what kind of responsibility, broadly speaking, I'm not going to pick on any one company, do companies take to make sure that their products really are safe for people using them?
I think it begins with the purpose. Our purpose has been to serve people with solutions. There are a lot of very big conglomerates, and it's all about the bottom line. Unfortunately, they've kind of gotten pegged into that corner. So when we manufacture a product, the beginning formulation does begin with me, and working with our team we have thousands of people who sell our products across the country. They make money from that. We don't sell it in stores. It's just a great relationship. So I'm a great listener. There's a lot of moms who are like, I've got a kid at soccer. I've got an elderly mom. We look for solutions on what we do. And then we go back. And so we have like a no list. It's very short on our website. The one we use in the back office is really, really long. So we begin the formulation process. There was one product, somebody's like, I'd love something like this. And my son now is our new formulator. He's like, there's so many things that are so high on the EWG. He goes, morally, I can't make this product. So,
Environmental working group,
yes, I
right?
love the environmental working group. You can take individual ingredients. We run through those. We do zeros and ones. And, it's a great way to vet your products through that system. Like our preservative is a 1. So we love that. So that body burden, the more you have 3, 4s, and 5s, the more you build up. As far as regulations go, a lot of companies, it depends on the size of your company. So a lot of smaller companies aren't regulated generally in practice, which is probably part of the problem too. So when we have that, we use good manufacturing procedures. We have, hair nets, gloves, antibacterial processes, ways we clean our tanks, ways we make batches, the way that we finish packaging. We make almost everything in the building, and it goes out the door within 4 to 6 weeks. So we're not like having it made in a foreign country, getting on a boat, showing up here, and then distributing through our website, because most companies these days are e-commerce. So our products are made fresh. They're made in great, we call them fresh batches, but technically they're smaller batches. I mean, we can do 20,000 units and we'll spread it out, but you have a lot more control on some of these smaller batches. And then you can have that really high quality, really high hygiene, really good results, because you don't want to get a product. You're like, oh, this is it's like getting a great, expensive piece of cheese and it molds in 2 days. You don't want that. So you want to have something that's super fresh, that's coming in, that you'll put on your skin and use for a very long time. So as we bottle all of our bottles, all the processes, and after 24 years, really good at this. So our SOPs, our standard operating procedures, are just way well and above what they have to be. So that has been one of the things that I think when we went from my kitchen to manufacturing was always really important to us as we set up our next level of manufacturing. And so, like I said, we've been doing some very large batch manufacturing. Like the last one we did that was the largest, was about 20,000 units.
Hmm.
But we could have shut everything else down, cut some corners, but then that product is out there with my name on it. And so my purpose is to provide people with amazing solutions in their skincare and have the highest quality available. So the balance between that, and we've been very successful. We're a debt-free, profitable, happy, healthy company. We employ people with different abilities. So in our manufacturing process, there might be an adaptive piece to it of how that's going to get packaged. And that adds a little element of surprise sometimes. However, we're creating jobs in the Ozarks for people with different abilities. My daughter's one of them, which kind of opened the door to us doing that. So the products are made with love. They're made in fresh batches. They're sent out the door quickly. And they have the highest standard of GMP, the manufacturing facility available, moving up, because we don't produce any drugs, into just the skincare realm. So there's so many people that's not regulated. We self-regulate pretty hard and heavy.
Is it fair to say you have to think about the actual packaging itself, the container that the product is in relative to how it's going to be used? Because you've even talked about, that rather rapid manufacturing and distribution process is important to getting people fresh products.
Yes, and we do. So, I want something that's also biodegradable, good for the environment, doesn't have BPAs, because that leaches into your product. So we want to have really great packaging. We want it to be affordable. I don't use boxes. People put products inside boxes so they can have more marketing. We have a lot of information on our website. We have a lot of information that comes from our distributors. We create these little hot sheets, but I don't think it's good to have 20,000 boxes and 20,000 bottles. And those bottles have to be stored so that there's, no contamination of the product from receiving. We have a very rigorous receiving and distribution process to bringing in raw materials, inspected raw materials, and then bringing them through to finish made from a seed of beeswax all the way to the end as it goes back out the door. We do our own shipping as well. Because I want to create jobs here in the Ozarks. I think that your local community is your life. You bring your family up there, you spend time there. I think it's a little myopic for people not to think about giving back in your own community if you have something. And I have jobs.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. So we've kind of created we've touched on this concept of a non-toxic home, and you've laid the groundwork for what really defines a non-toxic home, things to think about, things to maybe purchase in a mindful way when you're at the store. What are you bringing into your home that you are going to be exposed to, that your children, your spouse, perhaps, maybe your pets even, that's a concern. And I think one of the other hot topics that is really important to folks is what you brought up earlier, endocrine disruptors. What are endocrine disruptors? And let's dive into that from a chemical perspective.
Well, and it probably it started somewhere in the late 60s, that big manufacturers were putting an ingredient that it mimics a hormone. And so it's disrupting the endocrine system. And then that gets built up in your body, especially in the fat and your liver, and your body's just not going to process it the same way. And then, so we see people who have more skin issues, but also they're not able to absorb the good things. So as we're putting on topical magnesium, we want to make sure that that base doesn't have, anything in it that's going to stop or disrupt your body. And I love the way it's called an endocrine disruptor, because it's exactly what it does, is it disrupts your body from processing what it naturally should. Why do we need moisture? Why do we need exfoliation? Why do we need to hydrate our skin? Why do we need to soak in dead sea salt? Well, it's our environment today, and Pioneer women, this is how I invented my lotion bar. We're using little plates with little lard that they've mixed up on there, because they didn't have containers, and they mixed them up on their windowsills, and they use a little bit to
Mm.
moisturize their hands afterward. People's skin evaporates moisture, and to retain that moisture to make it not even just anti-aging, but to feel good. You know how good
Mm.
it feels to have moisturized skin, or to feel good to exfoliate or not have, eczema, psoriasis, baby with cradle cap, my dog with a hot spot. I think naturally, as nurturing as parents are, we want to provide a solution that really helps somebody. But you wouldn't want to do it knowing that you were, upsetting their, and a lot of people didn't know that, but people know it a
Mm.
lot more now. Phthalates are a very inexpensive way to put a preservative into a product.
Mm.
Uh, Phthalates are a known disruptor. So you can just turn your bottles over. We do phthalate-free fragrance oil parabens. Um, so the parabens that go into products, those are probably one of the worst. So you want to, I think I always tell people, I said, once you get to know us, we're your trusted name in family skincare. And then they can trust that we are going to be watching out for them and our products and every single product we do. And like I said earlier, there are products I won't even make because there's just really no great way to make them with great purpose. It'd be great marketing, but there's no great way to make that with purpose without making it where it's going to be my end goal to help people find purposeful solutions. So I've got to keep the goal in mind.
Do you mind touching on one or two of those, maybe as a cautionary note? If you're purchasing some of these products in the store, be aware.
Of the different things they should avoid.
Mm.
Mineral oil is a big one, which is an industrial byproduct. It's very inexpensive, and people feel like their skin's moisturized, but it creates like a plastic wrap over your skin. So avoid mineral oil. They also call it petroleum in
Mm.
products. I mean, it's called petroleum. That's a good clue. The phthalates, the parabens, DEA, we avoid any of the score of other preservatives that might go into the products or binding agents. We make our soaps without SLS, which is, we use a cocamide, which is made from coconut. And then there's one that makes sure stuff bubbles up.
Mm.
So, where people are like, oh, I want my shampoo to be super lathery. Yeah, it comes with
Yeah.
a cost because you have to add all that SLS in there, sodium lauryl sulfate, into your skin, which is very much an irritant. And then you're back to using other things to try to combat that itchy scalp or dry skin. But it bubbles up and then you'll buy something else. I was at a conference
Mm.
once, and they said, we're so excited. We create a problem, we solve the problem. They didn't have a problem,
Mm.
we gave them the problem. I'm like, I may have to get up and walk out of this seminar because I'm thinking,
Oh my
that's
gosh.
great marketing. That's not great marketing. That's manipulation and tricking the public. So if
Mm.
people use a little bit of our product and they don't need a lot, especially lower water content, using rich ingredients, you can read aloe, coconut oil, jojoba oil, all of the beneficial things that you, vitamin E, vitamin C, take your vitamins onto your skin. So there's so
Right.
many ways you can do that without it being, that no list. You can see one on our website.
I know I've heard some of the emulsifiers, there's concerns about sometimes some of the thickeners that are used in food products. There's a limit to how much the gut can handle, and then even things you wouldn't necessarily think of as a toxic ingredient, but just to be aware that they sneak in on some of these natural sugar-free products, or they put sugar alcohols. And even though that may not be traditionally considered a toxin per se, that how your gut handles some of these sugar alcohols and the microbiome, how they affect the microbiome, can really in turn have some immediate side effects for some folks, and maybe in other folks can have longer term, more subtle side effects as they shift that microbiome.
Right. And the
Um,
neurotoxicity of some of these ingredients,
yes.
formaldehyde's hidden in a lot of bath and body products.
Oh, a carcinogen, by the
Yeah,
way, right?
yeah, of course. It's like the mineral oil
Yeah.
and petroleum. So, because you might go to a big box store and you're like, oh, I can get 42 ounces of bubble bath for $2. I think that would stop me in my tracks too. So it's
Yeah.
just another way to look at it and become a label reader as you want to have whole health for your entire family, for your loved ones that have Parkinson's. But also, I love this prevention idea that we can make a difference in our families right now and what we do, and feel good about everything we feed to them, things they put on their skin. And we have healthy home cleaners, diffusers, stress management. So we use our products in a very holistic way as part of our regimen. My kids will say, I need some skin relief. They don't say I have a sunburn. They'll ask me for the solution that we have that has green tea, aloe, chamomile, seaweed, and lavender in it. And two of my older kids swear by it for tattoos. So, it's just, they're going to get a tattoo. At least they're going to use their skin relief on it afterward. So it's a solution base.
If it isn't already, obvious to folks that they should avoid these endocrine disruptors, I want them to know, those with Parkinson's disease watching, or who have family or friends with Parkinson's, that one of the well-documented in the peer-reviewed literature, one of the well-documented triggers for Parkinson's in men is an abrupt drop in testosterone. And it may seem a little unusual for a neurologist. Certainly, there are many neurologists in our country. Many, I see, an exceedingly small percent of the overall number of people with Parkinson's, of course, but not, I would venture to guess, that very few neurologists besides in my clinic at Sharlin Health and Neurology actually look at testosterone levels in men, especially, but also women who have Parkinson's disease. So very important, very, very important.
Very interesting. And that whole endocrine balancing, hormone balancing, and most people don't think about, with their bath and body or their cleaning products.
So something that's a little different from our interview from last year, as you were mentioning, that you've gotten excited about, you've gotten certified in the use of essential oils. Let's talk about essential oils. What's happening with Jordan Essentials and Nancy Bogart and essential oils?
How long do we have? So one of the things I love about, so I did get my NAHA aromatherapy certification. So we've been working with oils for quite some time. But one of the things is the power of the oils. And so I love to blend them into one solution for people that they just go with. So we added copaiba to our magnesium lotion really just in February of this year. And it has been a massive impact. One little, plant. It's an ecocannabinoid. It's not CBD. It's helping people with anxiety, with stress. It's very well documented on the benefits of copaiba. We added ylang-ylang, which is also a hormone balancer. It's balanced into our lotions, our sprays, our soaps. But this Copa Calm really meets the needs for what's happening in the world today. And it's using the magnesium, which we already knew, for the last 14 years is beneficial, adding the essential oils to it, which has this great beneficial essential oil to it to help carry people through. I mean, I'm getting requests for putting into rollers, or, how else can we use this product? Because it definitely helps you take it down a notch. And I would assume for Parkinson's patients, and we've had some great reports that they went from unscented to using the Copa Calm, that it is much more soothing, because we also need to work on our stress. It is a balancing lotion at the same time, lotion, spray, or stick, whichever you prefer. But it's putting these essential oils in there in the right blend. You don't have to worry about taking a dropper and start. You are more than welcome to make some at home. It's just when we balance the right percentages, and being a practitioner now with my oils and working on our formulary, our formulas and recipes, having the right percentage and the right balance from the right oils that are pesticide free. They come with a spectrostatic study for them with CMPG, and that they come in, then we use those oils in a good practice to balance them through the products, just like a peppermint oil, or using a tea tree or melaleuca. We use charcoal in our soaps, but adding the melaleuca, adding the tea tree to the charcoal soap helps with body odor. How many teenagers have body odor? So what are they doing? They're going to go grab that deodorant, an antiperspirant, and that's going to block all of your sweat glands in your armpit. And then what happens? Everything's getting backed up. And so we add like our resistance blend, which has the clove and the cinnamon and the nice spicy little blend to it. And it's a good way for your body to help resist all kinds of, it's like a little immune booster. I've been using it for a very long time, with all the travel I do and all the people that I meet. But we do it in the spray deodorant. But so what's happening is if you use an aluminum, it's going to clog the pores. And then how
Hmm.
often do we find women who have breast cancer tissue, that have parabens and aluminum? And of course, we already know the aluminum and the correlation with Alzheimer's. So using essential oils to control body odor, using it to enhance calm and not have to take a prescription, or it calms the muscles because the magnesium in the muscle is so relaxing. You want to start working out more, but you can't hardly get off the couch. And so it's just
Hmm.
such a nice way for people to build that into their routine, using plants, roots, herbs, resins, into that are properly distilled and manufactured by a facility who can make them that are really beneficial, and especially the right percentage for your family. And we use essential oils to clean our home too. With our healthy home collection, we do a concentrate, dump it in
Hmm.
a bottle, a glass bottle, and then you have very little biodegradable waste, and it's refillable. But we use really powerful essential oils that clean our home. And we all know that lemon cleans.
Yeah.
We use an organic alcohol with it, so it's going to clean, kill everything. And it's very safe to use, and it's going to cost you very little. It just isn't the same as big manufacturers' goals. I
Having
love the fact that it's
confidence.
recycle. Right, exactly.
We have to have confidence in the products we buy. There is a company called Consumer Lab. I don't know if you've had dealt with them at all, and I liken them to sort of Consumer Report. But they will buy products from a whole variety of companies, allegedly the same product, and then test them for contaminants. They'll test them for whether or not they actually have in them what they say they have in them. And, shocking, but often they don't, right? Or often they are contaminated with heavy metals, things like that. They did this with chocolate recently, known to have things like cadmium and lead in them. And, we all, many, not all of us, but many of us do like some dark chocolate, and it's good for the brain. That's one of the treats that we get for good brain health. But we do have to be careful about, where we're picking up our products or essential oils, because, it's easy to hear Nancy Bogart say, well, think about using essential oils, and then, go to Jordan Essentials and go to Walmart. And, I'm going to buy from Jordan Essentials. That's for sure.
Yeah, and
So,
you're gonna enjoy the fact that they're long lasting, they're not full of all those fillers, and that confidence, I think, is the best piece. And I think that's why we've been in business for 24 years. Our customer base, our reorder base, people who love the products, and they come back again and again because they work and they have confidence. But we're constantly inspecting our products, and especially in those smaller batches, it's really easy to do, to make sure that we inspect what we expect, which we probably should do in every area of life, but especially when it comes to what we're using on our bodies and in our homes.
yeah. Well, tell me about some of your favorite products that you have now. What's moving off the shelf quickly? What are you excited about that's brand new? What do we want folks to know about?
Well, I mean, I can't not, and we talked about this earlier, but I got to talk about the Copa Calm. So this just came out in February. um, I am flying through it. We also have a little smaller bottle when I travel. It is so interesting, the more study I've done on how ecocannabinoids can work on the nervous system. And so it's such a great product that it's not got CBD. People who can't take CBD, police officers, you don't want to give it to your 14-year-old kid, because I know a lot of people use it with great success. Plus, it's so much more affordable. So much more
Hmm.
affordable comes in. I would say, our healthy home, we changed it up just a little bit. I could tell I'm almost out, but our concentrates that dump
Hmm.
into the bottles in our resistance concentrate or the lemon concentrate. The little bottles keep selling. Doesn't make us a ton of money, but I know that we're doing good things for homes and environments, and people come back for more products. So I'd say those are our two big things that are flying off the shelf, is the Copaiba and the healthy home, but it's called Copa Calm. And yeah, so we just launched a Super Saturday, and we did some blends for people with one was called Study Buddy. Should be
Hmm.
available by the time we get here. But what I did was I took a synergy, and I'll teach you guys something. A synergy is whenever you take your essential oils by a professional. You can do this at home too. So you take and you understand what the purpose of the oils are. And I'm like, let's say I want to do one to help people study more or focus before test, or they're writing, papers, or, reading through a lot of white papers, because that can be really boring. So I'm going to take 3 to 5 oils, and you take those oils that have that purpose, and then you create a synergy, and you put all 3 bottles together, all 5 bottles together, and then you'll aroma and when it smells great, it means you need it. So
Hmm.
it's like, man, this smells so good. I'm like, yeah, it's because you need it. And somebody might be like, oh, this doesn't
Nice.
smell as good as I thought. I'm like, well, then your brain is telling you, your body will tell you, I don't probably need that. We'll give them something else. So we created this great synergy called Study Buddy. We put it into our skin relief, we put it in a stick and a spray. And then for back to school, for college projects, I love the fact that if we're going to gift something, let's give something that really, works and is beneficial. But that was a really fun project that we did. And we have a lot of reports from parents. I mean, who doesn't want to help kids? They're a little middle school or junior high or high school. But it really created a focus. It created some relaxation. It created a great blend to help them really focus forward. So we've been doing more of this recently. It is totally up my alley. I know where people are like, oh, I just want something that smells like honeysuckle.
Hmm.
Well, let's make something that smells great and it's going to benefit you as well. We had another blend called TLC, and that was for nurses and caregivers. And people spend a lot of time mentally fatigued throughout the day and physically fatigued. And so a little TLC for the caregivers had a little different purpose. It was to refresh after being exhausted. It was to kind of perk you up throughout the day, so that you would have this feeling of refreshment, so that you could go home and spend time with your family after 10-hour shift, 12-hour shift, emergency room, being on all the time. But that caregiver could also be a preschool teacher. That could
Hmm.
be somebody who works in a clinic who is solving problems all day long. And so it gave some refreshment to mental focus and clarity as well too. So some of those synergies that we're making right now, I am personally really excited about. And
Hmm.
so the more education that we do, and as people try, my favorite thing is a great testimony. When people are like, I love this product and here's why. So we have a lot of those on our website. When you click down below, they'll tell you some of our testimonies that people are bringing about, because these
Yeah.
aren't a clinical trial. This is 24 years of hundreds of thousands of our loyal and amazing customers sharing what works for them. So no claims. Disclaimer, I'm not making any claims. We're just sharing what's working for us in our homes with a bunch of happy parents and families and individuals who really like these products.
Well, to be sure, very clear though, anxiety that you've touched on is a big issue in Parkinson's. So there's a whole area of understanding Parkinson's disease which is referred to as the non-motor symptoms. And sometimes they actually herald, they come on before the onset of the tremor and the rigidity and the posture changes and the shuffling gait. So many of our Parkinson's patients suffer from anxiety, depression, 2 major issues where essential oils and other natural products can make a big difference. And when anxiety levels are higher, very often, I know all the folks with Parkinson's are going to go, yep, that's true. The tremor and the other motor symptoms of Parkinson's are worse. So yes, we're not saying that this is a proven treatment like levodopa, carbidopa for Parkinson's, but if you do calm your nervous system, you will likely experience improvement in both mood and outlook, as well as those motor symptoms. So really important, really important.
You can use a diffuser and do aromatherapy as well in your home. And I would get a good one that has a timer of 30 to 60 minutes, and
Mhm.
use some blends of essential oils in a diffuser, but also along with the massage and the soaking. And you do not have to get in a full tub. I know it's more difficult when you have motor skill issues. You can just have somebody bring you a basin of hot water, put your Dead Sea salts in, and soak your feet. There's so many studies that show how it pulls through the body. It's a great relaxing procedure. Spray some of the essential oils. I have one of those little visors that has the music,
Mm,
the massage. I love those.
yeah.
I did the spray. And then next time I'm feeling stressed, it's my trigger. I got the spray, I put that on. I'm like, my body goes, you are going to be happy in about 2 minutes. Um, but I think the massage, we've gotten a lot of positive with the magnesium. The magnesium goes right to the muscle. We haven't talked a lot about that, but the magnesium goes right to the muscle and helps to relax it a little bit. So I've told people too, like, if you take your medication and you need to, something to bridge that time, to relax that muscle, to give it a little bit of rest, that magnesium helps to give that some calm with the massage into your skin, into your body, to give it a minute. We use different essential oils for migraines. We use them for, as your medication's kicking in, let's use this stick. But it's also because we're using anti-inflammatory essential oils, oftentimes to create this protocol in your own home. We are our own science experiments. We always call it Team Nancy, because Dr. Sharlin's doctor. So, and Rachel Wimple, all these people are part of Team Nancy. I create Team Nancy. I create my home environment. I'm not a victim of anything. I get to create my own protocol of when I'm stressed. I'm a CEO of a very large company with over 3,000 women. It can be stressful. So, so when I have to remind myself that I have all these things at my fingertips, and to create your own protocol and your own team for your own personal health care. There's never any reason, I think, not to settle or push as far as you possibly can into the realm of health and wellness, and creating some of that in your own home. I'm a big proponent of teaching classes on that. I teach some of those on our Facebook and our YouTube channel, about personal practices for kids, running my own company, all these things happening in my life. You need team, fill in the blank with your name. You need to create whatever space it is. I remember just having the 3 kids at home.
Yeah.
Trying to find my way in my early 30s. I needed Team Nancy then too. I had some women in my church, and then, we had people that we did a co-op for our gardening with and our meat. And, they were all part of Team Bogart at the time too. So just kind of a fun thing to impart on everyone today, be thinking, who's on my team? Does everybody on my team need to be on my team? I hope Donor Essentials can be a part of that team, but who needs to be on your team so you have optimal health? We're supposed to be making memories now, not at the end of our lives, just having a couple dreams of better health or enjoyment. Take the time off, unplug, but for overall longevity and health and disease prevention, or to treat and help support you while you're going through it, just having that whole look of who's on my team and what is in my control, and how can I make a difference for myself, my family right now?
Yeah. You've touched on the magnesium, and we talked a little bit about kind of muscle cramping. And for sure, this can be another major issue that plague people with Parkinson's. We don't have enough dialogues about pain in Parkinson's, but a surprisingly large percentage of people with Parkinson's experience pain. And that pain is rather enigmatic, meaning that I don't know that neurologists and neuroscientists truly understand where that pain is coming from and ultimately what's going to be the best solution. And I'll tell you, in my personal medical practice, where I do use natural products, but I also use pharmaceuticals where appropriate. I've seen folks with Parkinson's run the gamut of, narcotics and gabapentin and what we call benzodiazepines, which are Valium type medicines, and pregabalin and duloxetine. And folks listening, some of these drugs are going to be very familiar to them, and they come back and they go, none of this stuff works for that pain. And so you've got some things in your product line that actually may be very helpful for that deep muscles, seems like it's coming from muscle type pain.
We do, and one of them, we call it Helio. We started out calling it Hello Helio. And we added heliochrysum with the magnesium, green tea, aloe, chamomile, and seaweed. And I will say, because I had a frozen shoulder a couple of months ago, and that was definitely my go-to. So it's a little bit deeper. It's also got winter mint in it, which you want to increase that circulation. So I do have so many stories of how it can support and help soothe pain. And it's the magnesium. It is definitely the key of the magnesium. Then we added the essential oil from the heliochrysum and the winter mint. And then we added the botanicals from the aloe, chamomile, seaweed, and tea. So it just created this blend. It started as one of our best sellers, and it still is to this day. But also we hear people with fibromyalgia and Parkinson's, the soaking in the Dead Sea salt, we infuse extra magnesium in there, along with some of the essential oils. That has been, and I know, like, we still get the people like, I can't get in the tub. but I think our bodies were made to soak.
Hmm.
There's a reason why the salt is in the ocean and it's in our bodies. But we get a lot of pain relief. If I did a couple of half marathons. My husband did a 50-mile race. We use the Dead Sea salt as our modality for pain relief. And
Okay.
then the massage with the magnesium lotion. And I don't know how he ran 50 miles. He swears it's the Dead Sea salt. He forgot to
Hmm.
refill he has a little refillable thing I put in his bathroom. And
Hmm.
it's like 3 weeks. He's like, I don't know why I'm so sore all the time. I said, oh, I think I forgot to refill your Dead Sea salts. And he hadn't had a
Oops.
smoke in a while. Whoops. He goes, well, that's good. Now we know it works. So he has a great testimony to that too. But, if you have a family member who is in pain and you can give them something simple to start, and it gives them relief, then, I mean, that's joy. That's joy right
Yeah,
there, is to give them that
absolutely.
opportunity to feel better. If it's to add on to their team, their medical team, and it gives them some relief, that's joy. That's all the better. Besides just the buildup of the toxins and endocrine disruptors too, through poor products, you get this chance to have that solution. We do some like blends for allergies, blends for our sleep line is huge. We have a spray and a stick and a supplement for sleep with ashwagandha. So it's going to help us
Hmm.
sleep as well. That's new since last year. And it's going over really well. But the sleep blend of the essential oils triggers you to say, it is bedtime, get off my phone, stop reading this book. But we use it too. We have lavender sprays for children, and they're going to grow up. I love it. They're going to grow up with this habit
Hmm.
of spraying their feet, spraying their sheets, getting ready for bed in a very natural, healthy way. But we still infuse magnesium into our sleep. So restless legs, running all night, shredding your sheets, having that sense of tension at the end of the day. We infuse the magnesium with this. I think that's probably what makes us really special, is the infusion of the magnesium, the essential oils,
Hmm.
to help people have quality of life.
That is really awesome. Nancy Bogart, CEO of Jordan Essentials. If folks want to learn more about your company, your product line, your best sellers, how do they do that?
Well, we actually just added bestsellers and solutions. There are several little tabs on our website you can go to and read more about what you're looking for. And it's just simply jordanessentials.com. There's a great handy dandy contact button at the top. If you have any questions, ask the team. Myself or somebody on the team is always happy to answer if you have any needs there, because we will always be about people and helping them find solutions to have a better life. So our website's probably our best place. Our Facebook page is darn entertaining. We do some live videos there as well. Again, on Facebook, it's just Jordan Essentials.
So you can like your Facebook page and check that out too.
Yeah.
I want folks watching this video, these interviews, to know that the people I bring on are people that I know, that I put a tremendous amount of confidence in, their products, their ideas, their services. This is really an incredible company, and Nancy and her husband, Ron, are equally incredible people. So it's just such an honor and a joy to bring you on to the Parkinson's Solutions Summit. And I really, truly appreciate the time you spent with everybody today.
Thank you so much for helping us spread the message and solutions that we have. But also, thanks for being on Team Nancy. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.